Welcome everybody to the latest and greatest episode of Heighten Your with Shaun Green. I got Mr. Trent Smock all the way from Arizona today. He is a seasoned behavioral coach, expert with over 25 years of experience guiding executives and billion-dollar companies to achieve exceptional leadership and organizational success. With a foundation in psychology, Trent combines in academic expertise with his personal experience as an athlete and entrepreneur to offer a unique, impactful approach to leadership and development. He specializes in helping leaders simplify complex challenges, emphasizing influence over power to drive meaningful, sustainable change. Knowing his ability to address behavior patterns that limit potential, Trent works closely with executives to transform their leadership styles and empower their teams. His insights have shaped countless leaders, enabling them to navigate challenges with confidence and clarity. Trent approaches to coaching is rooted in his belief that leadership is not just about authority, but about inspiring others through authenticity and strategic influence. I also want to add, Mr. Trent, he was former college athlete, football, wide receiver, tight end, and he also played basketball. Mr. Trent, what position did you play in basketball?
Well, I was a swing man, forward, 6'4" ish. So at that level, you're not really a forward, right? But I started a couple games at a guard, so back and forth a little bit.
That was awesome. So you
Yeah,
you were you were a well-rounded, skilled athlete. That's good.
I was lucky, very gifted. That's a gift,
That's cool.
Very
So
fortunate.
so how do you feel like that your the leadership and I guess I will say the ability to overcome challenges help you, from being an athlete to being a professional.
Well, one of the things you learn is that at least as an athlete, um, well, I played 2 years of basketball for Bobby Knight.
Oh
Uh,
wow,
then I
legend.
played 4 years of football. I got drafted late in the late rounds. I just tell you that because the context is different. I had two different styles of coaches. Uh,
Hmm.
as you can imagine, if you're familiar with Bobby Knight, you
Yeah,
know he
somewhat.
uh, he was a very succinct communicator. Is probably a good
Hmm.
way to say it.
Yeah.
And what I really learned from him more than anyone is that there's no excuses, none, no excuses. And I saw the other day, no explanations. He
Gotcha.
didn't want to. You can't say sun was in my eyes or whatever. And as I built my own business over the years, it took me a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I just There came a point in my life I just decided I'm not going to rely on anybody for my success.
Hmm.
I'll take. I didn't become. That's a mature kind of extra, not a mature thing for me to say, but
Hmm.
understanding how to let people in still to help me.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I'm 100% responsible for my success. People don't call you on the phone. Hey, Shaun, can I give you some money?
No, they don't.
It don't work that way.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest takeaway. The other thing on the flip side, I was a very gifted athlete, but didn't really put the work in.
Hmm.
It was too easy.
I
And
got you.
there's a lot of athletes, and I would say, across the board, the ones that succeed have mental toughness.
Hmm.
And
I would agree.
without that, you can't get to that next level.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. You have to have mental toughness and you got to have that, I would say, unwavering ability to, always be training your body and your mind and just everything. That got to be part of your daily routine,
Well,
constantly getting
you
better.
have to really be obsessed with it,
Exactly. That's the right word. Obsessed.
Yeah, in a positive way. But I
Hmm.
mean, so quick story. So I got drafted by the Lions in football late in the rounds.
Awesome.
I sprained my ankle playing
Hmm.
basketball down in Bloomington. So when I went to camp, I didn't pass the physical. But I was
Okay.
in the Lions locker room for like a day or two, and all those when I saw Charlie Sanders, I don't know if you remember who he was.
I mean,
He was a big tight end, and he looked like a bodybuilder. And I thought, man, did I waste my summer?
wow.
So yeah, you got to be all in. And it's not the days. When I grew up, played football, basketball, baseball in high school. You did it all. Now they don't do that now, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Man, that's cool though.
You
To
live
have
in
that
a,
experience, to have that experience, to you say you was at the highest level, for any time is a great opportunity and just something that most people have never achieved. So that's to me that's amazing. That's
it's
the top
very,
one
very
percent of the 1%.
well, just give you some background on that. So when I was a freshman at Indiana, it was Bobby Knight's second year, and I grew up in Indiana. But if you remember that team that went 32-0,
Hmm.
okay, so those guys that were seniors then, that was the team, that was the freshman class that I came in on.
Oh wow. Okay.
So Quinn Buckner, Scott May, Bobby Wilkerson, all first round draft picks, same age as me. And so that's why I didn't stay in basketball. I just figured I'm gonna sit the bench, And I thought I had
Mm.
a career, but we played in the Final Four my freshman year and won the Big Ten, and
Yeah.
uh, I don't talk about it very much, but um, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a great experience and great stories. To pass on
Yeah,
to your siblings and your grandchildren, things of that nature.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's cool.
Hmm. True. So with all of that, you got a chance to be around, I would say legends and like I mean exceptional athletes, and I'm sure they were very smart people as well, because to be on that level, you got to be smart as well. So I'm sure you learned a lot just being in their presence and being around that caliber of people. I feel like that probably propelled you to the type of success you're having
Yeah.
with your leadership and coaching, because to be around the presence of that type of leadership and that type of influence.
Well, I think it did. You when you're young, you don't really know anything. You just think you do. It's interesting you say that because that whole class that I was with, um, everybody, and really the team, the 2 years. I actually went back and played a fifth year, but that's a whole nother story I won't go into. But
Mhm.
almost every one of those guys graduated. I think they all did. And in fact, one of the guys I played with is now was on the board of trustees at Indiana. Now he's the president of the board of trustees.
Wow.
These kids were not stupid.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and some of that is some people are just academically gifted, some are not. But
Hmm.
I don't know, it's just a level of expectation I don't think really is around today, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great opportunity. Got to see the world. We actually between my freshman and sophomore year, we went to Spain as a basketball team. So got to
That
and
was
then
fun.
yeah, it was great.
Hmm.
It was great.
Yeah.
So I've been God's blessed me, knock on wood, and
I'm
uh,
sure he will continue blessing you.
I think he will. That's what he says. As
Hmm.
long as I keep trying to do what I'm trying to do, but fall short of. But yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love to hear that. So all that was really the catalyst and like the foundation for you. So you had a great foundation, great catalyst that led
I
you
think
down
so.
down the path. Mhm.
Yeah, and my parents were at that time. I mean, they weren't friends like a lot of parents are today.
Yeah.
So it was like, raise them, make sure they don't go to jail, and we'll see you.
Yeah. So
So I
once you
never,
was
yeah, I
once you
never.
were 18, you were grown.
Well,
You
I was
know.
18. Well, I graduated high school at 17. So
Mhm.
my freshman year, I didn't turn 18 till end of August. So
Man.
graduated, I can't do the math, but 21 or something, and then
Mhm.
um, uh, ended up getting cut, coming back to Indianapolis, got a job for about a year and a half. Had no idea what I was doing, got fired. I was selling dictation equipment.
Mhm.
I had a friend of mine, you might know a guy named, you ever hear of Dell Harris?
No,
Coach,
not for me.
coached the Lakers.
Okay. I heard. Yeah.
So I'm kind of dropping names. That's not, I typically don't do that, but what the heck. Um,
No, that's cool.
he coached in my hometown, Richmond, Indiana, and from there, of course, went to the NBA. But he had helped me get to a basketball camp in Chicago for European players. So I went up
Mhm.
there, didn't get picked up, come back to Indianapolis, work, um, and then They fired me because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just selling dictation equipment. I went down to the Virgin Islands with a friend of a friend. These people had a yacht, and I don't know what I did on the yacht for about 6 months. Worked at a Holiday Inn and waited tables.
Hmm.
And they called me in the middle of the season and said, "Hey, you want to come to Iceland?"
Okay.
I said, "Well, yeah." So I went from the St. Thomas.
To Iceland. That was a big culture
It was,
shock.
yeah, and so I played a half a season there. Came home, and then they asked me to come back for a year. Did that. Um, and then went to Europe for a couple of years and played basketball. But it was wasn't the big leagues, you know.
Hmm.
But it was fun. Met some people, traveled a little bit, and then came back. And I didn't go home. I came out to Arizona because my brother was here and I had a place to live.
Okay.
His wife, they were married, had a kid, and then I just got a job selling dictation equipment, and then then I just no draw, excuse me, no draw, no nothing, not even a check. It was commission only, paid once a month.
Mm. I know
Uh,
that, that
There's
that was
something.
tough.
So I digressed a little bit. We're not talking really about coaching, but anyway, you need to stop me, Shaun, because I'll just.
Yeah. No, that's
'Cause
fine, but this is good because this is the foundation of
yeah.
of you. So this is my approach anyway. So this is really good.
Cool.
Um, so I'm gonna ask you this question. I know your work emphasizes changing thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors to achieve transformative results. What
Right.
inspired you to focus on behavior coaching as the foundation of your methodology?
Well, my degree is in psychology. I got a psychology degree.
Hmm.
And if I can make a long story short, I have in my career, grew up in the technology industry, et cetera. But I ran a small company here in Phoenix called for in-floor cleaners. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen these pop-up heads at the bottom of a pool that push
Hmm. Yeah,
that
I've seen those
water
before.
around. Okay, so all three of those in the world are all here in Phoenix. So I ran one of them. It was part of a bigger pool company. And then a guy that I knew was selling basically what I'm selling now, which is this behavioral psychometric surveys.
Hmm.
And that's how I got exposed to it. And I really liked it. I had an epiphany when I was trying to manage other people. And, I was the quote, the president and a 25 person
Hmm.
company. I thought it was pretty cool. Everybody knocking on your door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because, it strokes your ego.
Yeah.
And uh, so that's how I got exposed to it. And then I had a falling out with the guy who ran the big company. I said, well, I can do this. And I was pretty well networked in Arizona because from the technology community. So I just bought a license and just tried to make a living.
Okay.
And, I matured and it took a while again, you only eat what you kill, right?
Hmm.
And so that's been a 30-year progression. The essence of what I'm doing now is the same thing. I'm just not telling people what they should be doing. I'm helping them figure that out on their own.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not about power, it's about influence. It's, and everybody wants to be part of the solution. You've probably heard, when you look in the mirror, you see the problem and the solution.
Hmm. I've heard that several
Yeah,
times.
yeah. So, and frankly, when you're coaching, at least for me, it is that Socratic method, and I don't have to do the work. It's helping them do the work.
Yeah. Because you're not doing the change, they're doing the change. You're like the guide to lead them down the right path.
Well, there's another saying. I'll probably screw this up, but if you don't earn it, you don't learn it.
They're very true.
So
Gotta have some skin in the game, as they say. Yeah.
we got to have some skin in the game, and
Hmm.
I also find that if you ask somebody what they want, they can tell you.
Hmm.
Sometimes what they want isn't really what they want. But that's another conversation. But the real question is, okay, well, why don't you have it? Well, it's
Or,
belief, it's willingness to see the truth because we all tell ourselves a story that's not true
yeah, we do.
a lot of times. We rationalize it.
Hmm.
And then what there's a great article with this guy named Manson, probably 10 years old, and it's the most important question of your life. And the most important question is how much pain do you want?
Oh
Because
yeah.
to get something we don't have, this is Jerry Rice, we have to do something we've never done.
You have to.
Okay. So, yeah, but I don't want to. Well, it doesn't work that way, right?
No, I don't. So
So,
you got to put you have to do something to get something, you know.
well, you gotta do something, and you gotta do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You got to change the
so,
paradigm, as they say.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll just tell people, I said, you know, if you're not where you want to be, it's because you don't really want to be there.
Yep.
You know,
Did fear hold you back, or you just stuck in your own doing the same habits over and over again, which will lead to the same results, right?
well, it's old patterns, and
Mm-hmm.
we all have some of that. We all rationalize it, but at
Yep.
some point, if it's something, I'm not a big fan of the word transformative because I think it's overused, but
Mm-hmm.
um, you do have to, you do have to, you have to think different. You have to believe something different. You have to tell yourself the truth, and then you have to be willing to sacrifice
Exactly.
because the things that you're doing are not getting you where you want to go. So
Yep.
if I ask you, if you and I were, if I was coaching you and we had this conversation over many times, you probably know what you need to do, but you're not doing. The question is, well, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah. Also, usually they will give some excuses or different reasons why, or different scenarios that may be blocking them, or they think that's blocking them from doing it.
Well, that okay. So, and that's true. You know, I had, and I've not had any childhood trauma and that, you know, crazy kind of stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't relate to those who have. And so those kinds of things, you know, are out of my,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sphere of influence. With that said, if you live in the past, you can't create a future. You know, I can't help you, but if you're reasonably healthy, not I
Yeah.
mean, we're all a little wacky to begin with. So, but anyway, that's my approach to coaching. And I was reading something the other day is that you know, as it relates to coaching, if you take the analogy of a child, you wouldn't tie. You want to teach your children to tie their shoes. You wouldn't tie it forever.
Yeah. You got it.
You wouldn't.
They got to fail a
Yes.
series of failing to get to to the end result of them learning how to do it. Yeah.
Well, frankly, that's the only way we learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 'Cause I think I heard somebody say that walking is actually controlled falling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because our babies learn, they fall over and over again. Eventually, they get in
Well,
there
they
and they
figure it
start.
out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one of the big pet peeves I have is people who don't try.
Mm-hmm.
You may have somebody, you know, adult, they don't understand computers.
Oh, yeah. I know several like that.
Okay, well, it's because they don't want to try.
Mhm.
I
They
mean,
say, I'm not a tech person. They say that.
well, that's because
Or
you don't want to be a tech person. You don't have to be a tech person. You just
yeah.
should know how to copy and paste.
Or they say I don't like computers, or, or they
Well, then
or they
stop
be
asking me to help you.
yeah. But my thing is like if you use the phone, which is the main thing people use every day, which is a computer. I mean, you should at least kind of have a understanding of how it works a little bit, so you can know how to navigate it and do things with it. Because they say these devices now have more computer power than the space they used to, put the people on the moon years ago. So it's like,
Well, I don't doubt that really either. It makes me just think really about where we are. So I heard actually in a sermon the other day, the guy was really talking about, you know, the new year and
mm,
time with yourself and solitude and silence. He said, the average person touches their phone 3,000 times a day.
yeah, I believe it. I know I use mine a lot for everything. So
Well, I listen to music or some things at night because I can't sleep. I got apnea. I
mhm.
mean, I'm not on my phone. I'm not on my phone while I'm talking to my wife. Some people are.
Yeah, that's not good if you are that
No,
disconnected. Yeah.
no, man, not at all.
You got to be present. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of I feel like this is my own opinion that a lot of people, even myself, it brings a struggle with just, I guess, normal relationships because people, a lot of times they can't put the phone down for 5 minutes
Well,
to
and,
connect.
and, and it's rude, to
Mhm.
me, when you hit, that's the word, not present. Because if I'm talking to somebody and they're on their phone, you're not listening to me,
Exactly. It's been,
so,
it's been
uh,
proven that people can't, what's it called, multitask. Scientific proven that's not really a thing because the brain can really only think about one thing at a time
and it
successfully.
doesn't, yeah, I mean, we all have a little ADHD, either from the food source or something, but get distracted easily, at least I do.
Oh
So
yeah,
I,
me too.
I do work on multiple things, but only because my mind shifts over there,
Yep.
right? And then,
Hmm.
but yeah, multitasking doesn't.
Yeah, because sometimes you could be doing one thing and then another thing may be connected to that one thing. So it's kind of like you're working on one thing, but it's like you got to do two or three things to get that one thing done.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that happens all the time.
yeah. You can't just work on one thing, forever. So
So I know you help leaders at billion-dollar companies transition from overwhelmed doers to confident visionaries. How do you define your success in leadership, and what common challenges do executives face when striving for it?
yeah, so that's a good question, loaded, but in it because it's complicated. So most executives, and that means different things to different people, but
Hmm.
I'll use that I'll put a wrapper on that. So, there's executives typically at that senior level making a whole bunch of money, have a
Hmm.
bunch of direct reports, and they have a bunch of direct reports. With that said, leaders or managers might be a director, or maybe even a vice president and have,
Hmm.
10, 12 people working for them, maybe five people who have 10 people, right? So I mean, they got some juice, right?
Yeah.
Something beneath them. My experience is that even those level of people are still telling people what to do because their bosses are saying, did you get this done, this done, this done, this done?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just rolls downhill. And they're not empowering their people to make decisions. They're not giving them, well, in a perfect world, you give people clear directions on what a deliverable is, and then you give them the tools and the resources to get that job done. I mean, if you're doing spreadsheets, you need a computer, right? So the first thing is getting them to start to think differently, which means they have to let go, right? They have to push back on their manager a little bit and go, hey, I'm letting Johnny do it. I'll take care of it. When do you want it? And they don't really manage up; they just manage
Hmm.
down and then deliver. So there's this whole dynamic there. Um,
Hmm.
where they have been promoted because they've been a great individual contributor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, um, but you're not doing things yourself now. Other people are doing them on your behalf. So what you have to do is, I call it crossing the chasm. The big valley there. You have to make other people powerful, right? And so one example is I worked with a lady who had, 500, 600 people reporting to her in the operations department at a big financial company. Been there 18 years. Everybody loves her, but she was, I'll say, controlling. I don't mean it like that, but she basically told people what to do,
Yeah.
and she had good people. But you can't get promoted if you don't have a successor,
It's true.
right? So, and then they throw this at you. Oh, Shaun, you're just too valuable. You want
Yeah.
that VP role? You go, oh, Shaun, you're too valuable where you are. Whatever. I mean, not that you're not valuable. You don't have anybody to replace you. Whatever it is. There's all those crazy politics. So that's a strategic approach to becoming a more effective leader. But that's a shift. So what happened with this lady? Loved her, by the way, primarily because she did almost everything I asked her to do. So I could see if it worked. But
Yeah.
what we did is so I have a kind of go-to saying for people who are trying to get people to do their work, but they won't let them do it. Is when they come in and knock on your door and say, "Hey, Shaun, can I do this or can I do that? Or is it okay if I do that? Or I was thinking about doing that. You all right?" The response that I would have to you, or that I tell them to say, "Do you need me for that?" And because I ended up doing something similar in that other company, because I was telling you about that first company that I ran, I went on vacation, I came back and nobody did anything. Why? Because I was the bottleneck.
Yeah.
So do you need me for that is a conversation starter. And then there were three stages, I can't remember exactly what they were, where when she's kind of started that, or what's the progress? was like, well, don't you like me anymore, or don't you trust me? And so I don't know if I'm answering that question, but it's just not about me. I can't believe my wife heard me say that. She might argue.
I got you. So, what are three key insights or pieces of advice you like to leave with the listeners to help redefine their thoughts, beliefs, behaviors for success?
Well, first is you got to think about your thinking objectively. And the second thing, when you think about your thinking, you're really thinking about how you talk to yourself. I call that your story. We all have a story. And then
Yeah,
the last thing, is it true? Just because you believe it doesn't make it true.
yeah, it's true. I mean,
Okay.
because you gotta think about it. Like when you are, how can I say it? Like everything in reality was once started from the thought or imagination. So we're always dreaming, but the people that are most successful are the ones that really can take that thought energy and change it to something that's actually exists. So,
Well, and not only in terms of a vision of who you want to be, we have an
mhm,
exercise called your future self, right? I'm a person who. And but when you look at the areas of our life that we'd like to improve, some of us, can do this kind of reasonably, but you have to be honest with yourself. A
that's
lot of
true.
people are not,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
some of the things that, because you can't have a conversation, right? You're on a different side. You just two different universes. That is what it is. I don't think that ought to be a priority in our life, but those would be the three things. I think,
Yeah,
you know, uh, think about your thinking, right? Like you're
yeah,
watching somebody sit down there and think your story. Because you got a bad story. If you're negative, we all know negative people. They're down.
yeah,
And that story is a downward spiral. There's no possibility in that. And then do a truth check.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you're right. If you dwell on the negative for too long, whatever you think about, eventually, if that's all you think about, you're gonna create more of it. So, yeah,
I mean, I call it, it's just a downward spiral. I call it the dark side,
mm,
and it's okay to go there, just don't swim there.
yeah, that's true.
Break
Appreciate it.
that pattern.
Yeah,
And I've learned that, I go there because you can't help yourself, but it's probably not true and it's not going to help me. So think about something different.
exactly. I can't remember the guy's name, but I know he was a famous psychologist, and he was in the concentration camps, and he said that even though despite the situation he was in, they never could make him think about anything he didn't want to think about.
Viktor
Yeah,
Frankl,
yeah, that's it. Yep.
uh, a man of meaning or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
So,
don't know why I did that, but man. But yeah, I did leave it with that. Hopefully that's helpful.
oh yeah, that's very helpful. I mean, I that's very good. I got a lot of notes anyway, but yeah,
Great.
really good stuff. But I mean, I know you short on time, and I really appreciate it you being here on How You Six Sense, and it's been a really good opportunity. And you are open for coaching anywhere for as far as this me remotely coaching.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
And I
So
live in
that's
Phoenix. Anybody's in the Phoenix area and wants to meet for coffee or talk to me, certainly that's more convenient, and obviously in person would be great.
do you have any social media where they can follow you or see you
You
online?
know what? Not really. No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, I know that'll come. So that's good though.
All
That'll
right.
come.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Shaun. I appreciate the time and the invitation and the dialogue and the conversation.
Sir, well, man, much success to everything you got going on. Are you doing coaching executives, and you're gonna get more to individuals, and just I know no matter where you're gonna go, what path you be on, what's the level of coaching, or you're gonna bring impact. You're gonna bring about great change in people's lives. So I definitely appreciate you for blessing the High U Six audience and family today, and just much love to you. And well, happy to connect again in near future.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir. All
All
right,
right.
God bless this. It's been another great episode of How You Six Sense. Shaun Green, Mr. Trent Smock out of Arizona, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.